What was the history and importance of dance in the 1920s? A lot of historical things occurred during the 1920s that affected dance and the arts in general. The 19th Amendment was passed giving women more freedom. This had a large impact on dance because women had voting rights and they were allowed to do more things creatively with dance without much criticism. Technology grew and created many new fads, including dance competitions, dance marathons, and a new love for dance. The 20s was an excellent period for all of the arts. Dance marathons became really popular during this time. A dance marathon was an extremely competitive dance competition that many young women and even men competed at. The general rule was that you could not fall asleep, but some contests allowed one part of the team to sleep as long as the other part of the team kept in contact or moving. As time in the contest continued, resting times would continue to decrease until there were no rests at all. The longest running dance marathon lasted for 22 weeks and 3.5 days. Some marathons would allow you to switch partners with another contestant within a certain time period if your partner dropped out, quit, fell asleep, etc. Dance marathons were eventually outlawed in most states due to the unhealthy and even fatal condition they put the contestants in. The radio also became very popular during this period. Because of this new popularity in music, many dance moves just caught on, including the Charleston, the shimmy, the black bottom, the foxtrot, and many, many more. Now I'll show a clip of the Charleston, the most famous dance during this period. There are many different variations of the Charleston. I just thought this one was cool. And shout out to Ashley for being amazing and spending a long time learning this. Everything began to change when America became involved in World War I. Society was completely transformed, and the transformation made a vast impact in dance. Smoking and drinking habits belonged to a certain group of females, the flappers. These women were reckless, fast-living, and loved to dance. The lively, upbeat music helped create new dancers. The older generation marked these dancers as wild and outrageous, but the dancers seemed to characterize the fast-paced lifestyles of the younger generation. Flappers did not always just dance for fun, as dancing soon became a competition. Prizes, money, and glory went to the winner of dance marathons that took place in the 1920s. Dance marathons were the huge event in the weekend, as many young people attended them. They were held in cities all over the United States with different rules for each one. There is a lot of social dancing going on around the world, but you cannot overlook the change being made in modern dancing. Martha Graham started dancing with Denishon School of Ruth St. Denis and Ted Strawn in the 1920s. Graham's teacher had a strong influence in the way she thought about dance. The 1920s style of dance was too classical for Graham. Martha Graham's influence on tradition ballet carried into the 1930s, and dance became a theater art, as it was symbolic, abstract, and mostly nonverbal. She is considered a pioneer in modern dancing and made modern dance popular. Here's a clip of Martha dancing. During the 1920s, dance was greatly affected by tradition. Both the social and theoretical dance were impacted by the previous year, but in different ways. While social dances remained somewhat similar to those from the previous decade, theoretical dance, such as ballet and modern, veered away from the traditional style. The 1920s are known today as the Jazz Age. Jazz music was created at the beginning of the 20th century. It was influenced by blues and ragtime, which were popular during previous years. Since jazz was the popular music of the time, it was often played for social dancing. For the most part, ballroom-style dances were still common. Although people were still dancing the same styles of dances as in former years, the social events at which they were dancing were not the same. The new craze of the 20s was the marathon dancing. This was definitely not traditional. People wanted to break records and have their 15 minutes of fame. In 1923, Alma Cummings decided to dance without stopping for 27 hours straight. This started the craze of marathon dancing that lasted the remainder of the 1920s. Here's a clip of the very common and old famous dance, the shimmy. This dance was so naughty that it actually had to be banned. Economics affects the way people spend their money and their time. During preposterous times, people are more willing to spend money and they're also more willing to spend their time doing things other than working, trying to get by, like dancing. During the 1920s, the United States economy was growing and expanding. It was just after World War I and everyone was trying to return to a normal lifestyle. World War I caused an economic expansion by causing the growth of consumerism. People were not working as many hours, they were making more money, they were investing in the stock market, and they were buying things. This flourishing economy made people happy. When people went out, they might go dancing or go to a musical or a dance performance. With more people attending these events, the arts were making more money and therefore they were thriving as well. It seemed as though dance was on the rise with the economy. At this time, everything was going great for the arts until 1929 came along with the surprise of the stock market crash. This terrible event then led to the beginning of the Great Depression. Banks closed and people became very poor, greatly reducing the amount of money spent in the arts. After 1929, the arts were drained of many of their funds because people simply didn't have enough money to go see the dancers at the productions. People were much more concerned about food and water for their families than they were about seeing a musical or dance production. This continued for many more years. During this time, dancing was very, very important to many people because it was a way of celebrating for most people. Here's a short clip of a famous dance called the Foxtrot. Thanks for watching.